All right, we're back working on the El Camino, and today it's out with the old and in with the new. Hey, babe. Oh wait, I did it wrong. God damn it. Hey, babe. All right, first things first. Gotta get this old piece of crap out. Gonna have a sweet stock El Camino motor for sale. If anybody wants one. Got it right here. Confirm it runs. Not very well because the carburetor, actually the carburetor was doing perfectly fine. Just the line going to the carb was clogged up, so it wasn't getting any fuel. Anyway, we're taking this out and it's it
hasn't moved.
Is it turning the stud?
Yeah.
So there's a bolt on the other side?
Motherfucker. How? Where? Why?
Are you sure? Yeah.
I swear it has not
Oh yeah, it's turning the stud.
I was like, pretty sure.
Yeah, you gotta put a wrench in that hole. That blows.
Really? Like, wait. I can't fucking see shit in there. I don't even know where.
So anyway, we're fumbling through, trying to get this motor out.
I legit, like, I need a light because I can't see anything right now.
Okay, we'll get some light. All right, so first things first, Tiny's gotta get this motor out.
Well, I've been trying.
They don't know that. I just started over. You could've gotten away with it.
Well, no.
They didn't have to know that you've been trying to get one bolt out for like 10 minutes. Dang, look at that booty. All right, Tiny's trying to get the last bolt on the wiring harness. I guess it's bolted to the tranny in a couple of places. I had to take the transmission crossmember down. I don't know how we were supposed to do that, but we took the single bolt off of the transmission that goes into the crossmember, but we couldn't get to the other two bolts, so we just dropped the crossmember. Then took the mount off.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
There's bugs on me.
Get back to work. There's a whole bunch of fluid in the transmission because it didn't have a drain plug and I was too lazy to take down the pan, so I tilted it up and let it drain a bunch.
Bueno.
And hopefully enough of it is out, and hopefully we don't have to tilt it that much to actually get it out of here. Because it took the whole front end off, so hopefully we don't pee fluid everywhere. But, all right, ready to take it out now?
Yeah.
We'll see how many things we forgot in a moment here.
Hopefully not anymore.
Yeah, hopefully not. I don't know. This portion of the mount, I thought it was going to be a stud, but it's a bolt underneath there, and it's like I can't get a wrench under there, or I don't have a wrench that will fit nicely under there. So we just took the bracket that actually goes to the motor off of it. But I think we can get high enough to where we can clear even the sump of the pan, and then we'll just hopefully be able to come forward. Yep, okay, got it out. Got a lot to clean up, unfortunately. It's really nasty in there. I might roll it out the front. Actually, we just blocked ourselves off now. We put the motor right there, not realizing we probably have to roll it out that door to pressure wash all of that. Get rid of all the awesome spider webs and egg sacs and stuff. But good progress there. Got the motor out. We actually messed up on putting the head gaskets on the new motor on one of the sides. We forgot one of the dowels. Just stupid mistake, so got to take that head back off, put the dowel in there. Hopefully the gasket's okay. I'm not going to get a new one. We'll see how it goes. Hoping for the best there. Next time we work on it, we'll put the new motor in and bolt a couple things on and see what we're looking at as far as spacing goes.
No.
Faster. Oh dang. All right, so we got the motor out, and Tanya and I battled with these stupid bolts for a lot longer than I would like to admit. I thought when we were taking these off that these were going to be studs, and so we just take the nuts off and the mounts would come off. No, GM decided it was a great idea to just give you this tiny little access hole, and then that you got to put a wrench in and barely get it onto the bolt that is here. So you start impacting these and it just starts spinning, and so it was just a big pain in the ass to get a wrench on there underneath. And then this one was even worse. We had to go from the underside to put a wrench on it, and then impacted off. So anyway, got the old clamshell style mounts off of there and then used the new ones, put them in place. I really hope that they're lined up at least enough to get the motor in there, because like I said, it's a pain in the butt to loosen them up and then tighten them. It's gonna be even worse if the motor is there. So crossing our fingers for that. All right, so these are the other side to that mount kit. Just a standard bracket that has slotted holes so that it's got a little bit of slop to go forwards or backwards. Normally they go on these front 4 holes. You got 4 right here. There's these other 2 holes here that I mean, I don't know if you're supposed to use them. I don't know if it's an option in some of the other cars that these came in, but there's 4 here. So in the Nissan, we used these because it happened to line up with where we had the mounts on the frame. So where the original mounts were on the truck were right here. It just made it so much easier, so we gave it a try. But the only downside to that is on the other side, you see there's only 3. So we still used it. So on the truck, this side mount only has 3 bolt holes on the bracket that we made. I don't know if it would be considered proper or not. Obviously not what GM intended, but it's been on there for 3.5 years going strong, so I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Are you using the front holes? I wasn't paying attention to.
Yeah, the front ones. Nice. Just explained it. I'm assuming that these are gonna line up with the front ones, since the mount kit was made for an LS into a G body, so I assume they use the proper holes. So that'll be nice, give me a little bit of peace of mind, although we know it works with the other one, so no big deal. So here's where that mount's gonna go, and you see the brackets, they allow you to go, you know, it gives you quite a bit of slop, depending on what the car side looks like. So there's an, ow. What are you doing? It's always gotta be so close. And I wonder if we can just keep the engine stand thing on it, since we don't have a tranny on it. Are you gonna help out today or what?
No.
Nope.
You're just gonna get in the way.
Yep.
You gotta move, bud.
And then I give him 10 minutes, he'll start grumbling about being in here, just because he's not able to lay on top of us.
I gotta take this off though, huh?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You
Maybe
wanna
we'll keep
leave
that
that
on.
on? Okay.
Yeah, because normally the tranny goes back there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't interfere. Got the motor in. The suspension did not compress hardly at all. So, I mean, we don't have a transmission on this, so obviously that's a boatload of weight, but I don't know what the weight difference is between iron and this being aluminum, but probably, I mean, the difference between the LS's, we did a video a while back on the difference in weight of all of them. They're about 100 pounds different between iron equivalent and these aluminum ones. So at least 100 pounds, I would say. So this was mainly to check a couple of things, just clearance wise. How far back can we get this? We left the motor stand thing on it. I think the transmission actually starts coming inward a little bit sooner than this thing does. It sticks out quite a bit, but maybe not. So we may be looking at this as an engine placement. Ideally, we want to get this thing as far back as possible. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but the further back we can get the primary source of weight, the better. You know, moving the engine and transmission even just 1 inch back makes a decent difference to the balance of the car. I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal with this one because she's going to be doing mostly track stuff where there's going to be a lot of available grip. But like the truck, we wanted the center of gravity to be as far back as we could get it. We kind of want to do the same concept with this because we might do some street stuff or some no prep stuff. I don't know how far back we can get it. So once we're ready to actually put the transmission on it, we'll push it as far as we can back. But if this was where it was at, I mean, that's not the end of the world. It's not, I mean, if you take the suspension location as a reference, We got a decent amount of motor in front of the suspension location, so not ideal, but really not bad. Yeah, I'm gonna put some stuff on it.
Yeah.
Put some stuff on it for a couple of things. One, just flat out satisfaction, but also to see what kind of room we're working with. This manifold over here, I did not think was going to be this close to where the steering column is. So what looks like we have, you know, a crap ton of room, I don't know anymore. It's pretty tight. So yeah, this is just a mock-up area. The motor's gonna come back out probably a couple of times before it stays in there permanently. Let's get the turbo manifolds and a couple other things, intake manifold, and see where everything lines up. It's always like a really exciting part when you get to like mock stuff up, but
Yeah, but
it's
then you realize you're
Yeah.
so far away from being able to drive it.
bittersweet because you get to see an early example of what it's going to look like, but yeah, tons of work still.
I
So,
don't like it.
no?
No,
What don't you like?
it's not pretty.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
wow. Work on that then. I mean, we can code a bunch of stuff, but let's get it working first.
You always say that, but I'm a little different than you.
No, well, the reason why I say it is because you want to get it working and everything. Because if we have to take apart stuff,
Yeah.
because something's not working, then you know you're taking apart these nice things, nice parts. It's easy to scratch up and get messed up and everything. So I like to get it working first and then worry about looks. But I usually never worry about looks because I don't care. But if I did,
Yeah, that's
that would
where
be
you and
the.
I differ.
But that would be the time to do it once it's working.
I don't care so much about it, but I still care.
Yeah.
Unlike you.
Yep. I think anything that works looks good. A couple of things to point out that we wanted to put this in and check. One of the biggest things is, Al's gonna point it out to you. Look, 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 right here. See that? Yeah, doesn't hit. Good, huh? Yeah, now get out of the way. All right. So alternator placement, I don't know if we're gonna stay with this because I'm a little concerned about how the belt is gonna go. So, I mean, none of this has anything to do with the car itself. Car-wise, we were just worried if it was going to hit any of this stuff. And even though it's kind of hard to show in the video, we got plenty of clearance on the steering and the box, and oil pan-wise, clearance to this. All of that turns out good. Really lucky on that, but you know, that's why we went with that low-profile pan in the first place. It served us well on this setup also. But one of the things that we're worried about that we saw when we put this on the Civic was belt routing. So right now the belt would be coming around to the crank pulley and really barely touching it right here, because it would have to come all the way up to this tensioner and then under the pump and then over and over there. So that's what we're worried about, is the fact that this won't be contacting it very much. Now, if it runs everything fine, then, you know, cool. I guess we'll use it. We'll probably try it like this first and see how it does. But we might end up having to either put the alternator somewhere else. I'm sure they have a bracket set up that can move the alternator over to this side instead, and maybe we'll end up having a better belt routing situation. But we gotta worry about, you know, coolant lines and everything. So I don't know, we'll try it out here, but yeah, we're only gonna have contact with a very little amount of the crank pulley down there. So we'll see. That's later down the road, but we'll give it a try first. The other stuff is, so it looked like we had tons of room everywhere in here, which we do on this side. We got all the room in the freaking world over here, which is great. Really cool. We can go pretty much anywhere with the exhaust to, you know, out the fender or just up the hood, or, you know, possibly even route it to go down there if we wanted to take the exhaust to the back. But probably won't do that because on this side, it is more crowded than I thought it was going to be, because of the brake booster, which there are options for that. We can either take away the brake booster, or we can probably get an aftermarket one that is smaller. But the steering column is always going to be an issue, but it's really not bad. We still got tons of room up here. And remember, we had not a whole lot of upward room when we had it in the Civic, so everything is tucked down pretty low. If we would have come up higher with this stuff, I mean, we could have put the turbo here facing forward. There's tons of room in this car in the areas that we didn't have it on the Civic. So, because remember, with the Civic, we were dealing with shock tower like right here. So definitely a lot different, but this is still 100% doable. 100% doable. We can bring the exhaust a couple of different ways. I'm going to talk to a couple of fab guys and see what they think we should do as far as, you know, do we bring it up over here and have the fender exits come out on both sides at the same point? Do we make a hard turn here and come out like the front fender area? Yeah, got a couple of options. We're going to put the front radiator support on so that we can get an idea of how much room we have in front of the motor, and then see what we're going to do with intercooler. That's the other thing, that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, but intercooler wise there's not. I'm curious to see where other people usually put their intercoolers, their air-to-air intercoolers in a G-body. So yeah, we'll put that front end, or the radiator support, on right now, and that should give us an idea of what we're working with. Also, as far as intake manifold height goes, we have tons of room. So I think a high-rise would actually still fit under a hood. It might need a minor cowl. Because, well, I'm just saying if we ended up using that. Like, I've never seen, I don't see many G-body setups, so I'm not familiar with, you know, how high it would be. Like, if it fits up here, like, would that still fit under the stock hood, or would it need a little bit of a cowl to come up and go over it? Probably would. But either way, this is height-wise, we got tons of clearance. We're good to go there. As you can see, big difference between fender clearance, or hood clearance on the truck versus, boom, hood clearance on the El Camino. So looking good there. That's good. Okay, so we got the front end back on. Just to get an idea of some of these clearances, we have boatloads of room. Pretty excited about it. The only thing that's really close is the steering box to the radiator. Kind of would only really be interfering with the shroud that we go with. So, which isn't a huge deal. We can make a little notch out of it, seal it back up so that it doesn't hit. Looks like we can go with a pretty large radiator because this isn't even all the way back. We can trim some stuff to make it sit a little bit further forward and go with a pretty thick core. We'll get a dual pass and probably set this really low, because one thing that we're noticing, I don't know how high up the car is going to sit when it's final. Obviously it's going to sit lower than this, but not a crazy amount lower. And look at all of the freaking room that we have between radiator support and the ground. So what I'm thinking is putting the radiator down lower, not making it shorter. I mean, we might get a slightly shorter radiator than what's in there right now. Drooping the radiator down low, so making new mounts off of that radiator support that go down, and then the radiator sits on it. So that if I can go down, if I can make the bottom of it 3 inches lower and go with a radiator that is 1 inch shorter than stock, then that might give us enough room to bring in the pipe for our intercooler up and straight into, or well, maybe not directly straight into, but it might have to come down and go forward a little bit, but bring it up over the radiator. I don't know, may not be doable, but that's kind of what I'm thinking of right now. Let me know what you guys think. If anybody's seen some pretty cool G-body setups, give me a link in the comments so that we can take a look at what some other people have done. As far as the inlets from the turbos, I mean, I'm just thinking about going down with those as well. So having one inlet on each side of this actually come forward and then come down with it a little bit over, and then in back, and then come up to the turbo right here. Again, let me know what you guys think. We're probably overlooking a really much easier way to do this. I think that's a pretty doable way. Anyway, it's pretty motivating to see all the room that we have to work with. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I don't think it's gonna be one of those things that's like slammed on the ground like some of these completely track G-bodies. Like, we wanna be able to drive it around and not have to worry about speed bumps and stuff like that.
Well, Lord knows I can't drive, so.
Yeah, she's not that great with, you know, coming out of driveways or you know, dodging potholes and shit like that. So You know, not as much, I don't think we need as much clearance as the truck has, but that's what's great about the truck, because it's stock height in the front. And so you could just, I mean, you could drive over whatever the hell you want. It's completely street friendly. So we want this to be the same. If that means we have to sacrifice a little bit on suspension stuff that would be good for the track, so be it. Because we want this to be a really, really fun driver where we can just hop in and go for a drive. So
Out for a ride in the El Camino.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if it might still be too loud for him. He's a sissy. But yeah, we want to make sure that we have plenty of radiator, plenty of intercooler. Although I don't think we'll need a crazy amount of intercooler. I don't think we're going to be running really, really high boost to make the number that we want to make. So the space that we have to work with, like if we only had a 3 or 3.5 inch core on the intercooler, I think that would be okay. I would rather go really big. If I've got to sacrifice intercooler to get radiator, that's, I think, the direction that we want to go. And I know that somebody's probably out there saying, oh no, that's stupid performance-wise. But we're only going to be making 1,000 horsepower. Out of these, well, at most 1,000 horsepower. Out of these, that shouldn't take a whole lot of boost. I don't think we're going to need a crazy amount of cooling. So, but we do want to go on really long drives, something that track cars don't do. And so they don't need radiator for. So it's just a matter of catering the car to what we plan on doing, and that's what we plan on doing with it.
I don't know about the we, it's more like me.
Oh yeah? What if there's a we thing that happens at, you know, starts at midnight?
It's more like a me.
We might be a me thing at that point.
No, it's always a me.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be more motivated when this thing's running. Pretty excited. We were thinking about, so as far as entries go, that's the other reason why I wanted to try to get something that went up and over the radiator into the intercooler, because I want to try to use the NACA ducts. So be flush in the hood, have an inlet that goes there, flush on the hood, have an inlet that goes there. So it feeds fresh air. So we're not pulling from the radiator a bunch of, 210 degree air. And then, yeah, not sure what we're gonna do with the exhaust jet. We'll have to talk that over. I do want to recirculate these gates into the pipe wherever we end up putting it. So that'll be a factor. What do you think?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Like, I want to make it easier.
Yeah, I mean, ease of doing it is one thing, but where do we want them? Like, what's ideal, and then what are we willing to accept?
I'm willing to accept a hood exit.
Okay, willing to accept out the hood, that's the easiest option, I
Yeah.
think. We literally just 90 up, maybe a little bit back, just as long as we have enough to put a O2 sensor in there in an angle
Ideal.
that won't hurt it.
Out the fenders.
Out the fender, but back or front? Back's
Yeah,
gonna be
that-
tough.
I mean, right here is not bad. So this would be.
No, that's not bad.
This would be first, second, third.
Wait, oh, okay, so hood worst case scenario.
Yeah.
First option, wanting to be out the fender back here. Acceptable in the middle would
Which
be.
I don't even know that you can do that.
No, that's what makes that really rough, is that there's a bunch of crap in there. Like, we don't want to get rid of the wiper motor.
Well, I would need, yeah.
The hood stuff will be gone. We're probably just going to use a pin-on hood or do different brackets. So a couple of things that we're ready to get right now would be the transmission cross member. We do know we have to get a different cross member for that, specifically for the Turbo 400 that we're going to be using. I think we can go ahead and start shopping for the radiator, start looking around for dimensions of the intercooler. We have the intercooler core from the Civic, but we're working with a lot smaller space, and that's all pieced together. Our friend Justin Bloomer from NCC Fab ended up giving us like a builder kit, basically. So he cut the dimensions based on the intercooler that we wanted and gave us the pieces that needed to be welded together. Problem is, I don't know how to weld aluminum yet. So for this one, we might end up going with something a little bit more basic, especially because we might only be using like a 3-inch core or a 3.5-inch core. We can get something like that that's decent pretty easily. But we'll talk to Justin again and see if there's something that he makes that's just off the shelf that we can get from him, because the intercooler's been working great on the truck. I'd love to keep using something of his. Yeah, we'll start shopping for the radiator support too, see if it's worth it.
Rear end.
Well, I want to finish up the front. I mean, we can start shopping for a rear end. We can get it here so we can start taking some measurements. That's probably a good idea. You're right. So we'll start shopping for a rear end. We're probably going to use an Explorer rear end. And I just need it here so we can start taking some measurements to see if I want to shorten it and do custom axles, or shorten it and do 2 short side stock axles, or just leave it completely stock. Gotta see, I guess, get it here, and we'll take the other rear end out and start really playing with it. But right now I'm just kind of concentrated on the front stuff. So those items are first on the list. All right, so that's it. Got a lot of work to do still. We'll start ordering some parts, or start shopping for some parts, start ordering some hopefully soon, and keep working on it.
Be sure to follow us on social media for updates. Lower Than You on Facebook as well as Instagram. Links are in the description above. Below? Links are in the description below.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.